Are you looking to move to a warmer climate, considering relocating to Florida? That's what I'm talking about today, and I'm starting right now. If this is your first time visiting my channel, welcome! I'm so glad you're here. My name is Carrie Janicus, and I'm a realtor in Chicago's southwest suburbs. Please consider hitting the subscribe button down below and the notification bell to be notified of any new videos that I post. I post new videos every week, and I wouldn't want you to miss out. If you've been here before, thank you so much for joining me again. I am here today with Ray, and we are talking about relocating to Florida. Thanks for joining me today, Ray. Can you tell me just a little bit about yourself and the areas that you serve?
I would be happy to. Thank you, Carrie. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here with you. Thank you for the invitation. Yeah, sure. My name is Ray Fernandez. I'm with ERA Home Run Real Estate, and the bulk of my business here in real estate is relocations. About 950 people are moving to Florida a day now these days, and especially since the 2020, that sort of accelerated that pace. But I cover Palm Beach County, which for those who don't know, Palm Beach County is about, depending if you're north or south in the county, it's anyways between 40 to 80 miles north of the city of Miami. And that's the area I serve. You have within the county, you have a very diverse landscape. You have anywhere from the south part, which is Boca Raton, Florida, and to the north part, which is Jupiter, Florida. And in the middle, we have the biggest city, which is West Palm Beach, Florida.
Okay. What does the population look like in some of those areas?
Great. So there's a lot of like little areas. The Miami metro area is large, but it's just so spread out. Palm Beach County is just under 1.5 million people. So it's quite large, but it's also pretty large area. It's 2383 square miles. So it's spread out over a large area. Like I mentioned, West Palm Beach is the biggest city, and West Palm Beach is only 110,000 people that live in there.
And what are the price ranges? I'm sure they vary greatly, but
yeah,
what is some of the price ranges look like in those areas?
That's an interesting question. A lot of people will be surprised by this, but so if you look at the average median price in Palm Beach County as a whole, when I say that, I'm looking at single family homes.
Sure. It's
$425,000. It's up 16.8% from last year. If prices have risen as we have scarce inventory and an increase in demand, so that's not really that surprising. But that's the median price. But if you look on what they call Billionaires Row on Palm Beach Island, it's the real estate there is just incredibly expensive. In fact, it's the fourth most expensive zip code in the United States.
Wow.
And you'll have homes there that really go up to $20-30 million. But for the most part, if you look at about 90% of the homes in our county, they'll be anywhere between $200,000 to $1 million. That's where the bulk of the home values are here in the county.
Okay, and so say for a $450,000 house, what do the taxes look like on a house of that price?
That's a good question. Always important too. So I always tell people to use as a rule of thumb, if you want to figure out your taxes, take the purchase price and multiply it by about 1.8%.
Okay.
So if I did the math on that, so if you do that, it's like 7,650 if you bought the average price in Palm Beach County. The good thing about what we have going here is we have Florida. The state of Florida has a homestead, which protects us. So if your home is assessed at, let's say, by the county at $450,000, they'll only assess you for $400,000. So they'll deduct $50,000. That's helpful, but the most important element of the homestead is what they call Save Our Homes. And Save Our Homes is a provision within the homestead exemption that the county's only allowed to raise your assessed value by 3% each year. So if you've lived in Florida for a long period of time, let's say 15 years or so, it's quite common to see that people have an assessed value significantly lower than where their current values are. So that saves them taxes over the long run.
That's
Now, how do you get that, Kerry? Is you have to be a primary resident. So this doesn't work for investors. Investors, there is a cap, but the cap is a lot higher. In fact, it's 10%.
okay. Wow, that's great information. Thanks for sharing that.
Now, of course, you.
Do your single family homes, do you have a lot of homeowners associations within those single family homes?
Yes, that's a great question. Yes, we do. Florida is known for HOAs or homeowners associations. I would say somewhere's around 85 to 90% of the homes here belong to some sort of homeowners association. One of my videos I did a while back on my YouTube channel, I highlighted that, and of course that was one of the most controversial videos I've done, because I find that people here either love or hate homeowners associations,
Yes.
and there are some people that are moving down here, Carrie, that aren't used to it, especially from Canada. I find people from Canada, they're not used to the homeowners association. And when we tell them what it's about, their first impression is, well, I don't want someone telling me what I can do at my home.
Right.
So you sort of have to get used to that. And as a Floridian, people here in Florida, we are sort of used to it, and we sort of roll with the flow. But there are some options if you're dead set against HOAs.
Okay. And what do those association dues look like? How much does that generally run on, say, a $450,000 house? What does that look like?
Okay. It depends on the community. You could on the very low end, if they're not really offering many services, about $100. On the high end, you're probably looking at about $500 or $600. But if you're paying that kind of HOA fee, they typically include things such as security, such as internet, cable, your landscaping, access to the clubhouse. A lot of the communities down here have resort style pools, so it includes a lot. Now, the other thing I want to mention about that, there are communities down here as well that are considered membership communities, and not to be confused with HOA communities. Membership communities are communities that have golf, as an example, and you'll literally pay a membership fee, initiation fee, to get into a community like that, somewhere in the area of $50,000 to $60,000. So a lot of people like to avoid that, but if you're retired and you want to play golf 7 days a week, that's an option for people like that.
Okay. That sounds great. Thanks for sharing that.
Of course. Thank you.
What does the transportation look like in your area? Is there a lot of traffic? Is it quiet? Is there a lot of entertainment?
Sure. Well, we in the wintertime, so we're talking here now in January. So January to like the beginning of April, our population swells. So we get an average of about something in the order of 20 to 25 percent more people living here than we would in the summertime or in the non-seasonal times. Traffic it's intense in December and January and so forth, as we're around the holiday times. But we're so spread out that we don't have anything like a subway system or anything like that. We just deal with it in terms of our cars. We do have something called a tri-rail train system, which happened in recent years, which is very convenient. It goes from downtown West Palm Beach, all the way down to Miami, and stops in stations in between. So you have that, you have buses, but for the most part, Carrie, people just drive and they deal with it.
Okay. I'm sure it differs quite. The amount of traffic that you have probably still is less than we have here in Chicago, but
Oh, no doubt. No
yeah,
doubt.
yeah,
No doubt. I mean, having been to your area before, I could honestly say that is without a doubt without a doubt the fact.
yeah. If someone say they want to come and visit and they're exploring areas, what's one thing that you would ask them to check out in viewing many different areas? What would you want
Okay.
them to look at?
So one of the great things we have here, we have beautiful beaches. You have to see the beaches. That goes without saying. The best airport, if people are flying in, is the Palm Beach International Airport. Highly recommend that airport. It's really easy to get in and out. Especially as compared to the Fort Lauderdale Airport and the Miami Airport.
Okay.
Once here, a couple places that I like to tell people to look at is within West Palm Beach. There's a place called Rosemary Square. Used to be called City Place. If you can just Google it and look it up, it's the heart of downtown West Palm Beach. There's a lot going on there. Restaurants, shops. It was an urban renovation of about 20 years ago, and now it's a extremely vibrant area. Also within downtown West Palm Beach, there's an area called there's a street. The main drag street through there is Clematis Street,
Okay.
and again, that's very vibrant. And in the wintertime, especially, people like to sit outside in the restaurants. And the weather's so nice here, like, especially in January. Our highs are typically around the mid 70s, so people have no problem eating outside. It's not hot. That would be one place, and the other place I think is also worth taking a look at if you want something a little bit more urban. We have a city here called Delray Beach, Florida, which has Atlantic Avenue as its main thoroughfare, and it's the same thing there. It's very active with shops and so forth, and you can walk to the beach from there as well.
Wow, that sounds wonderful.
It is.
What does the employment growth look like in your area?
So it's been an unusual year, needless to say. 2020 was, and now we're in the beginning of 2021. So employment rates and growth have been all over the place because of that. But in general, we have lower unemployment or higher employment here in Florida than the rest of the country. The last number that came out was an unemployment rate of 5.5%. The state average is 5.8%. So we have a slightly lower than average, a state average unemployment rate. Couple of things in terms of industry that we have going here is we have a lot to do with tourism, a lot to do with agriculture. If you go to the western part of the county, there's a lot of agriculture out there that a lot of people don't realize. Construction's big, biotech is big out here, and the medical field is gigantic. It seems like there's all kinds of like specialty hospitals and so forth. Right next door to where I live here, we have the Joe DiMaggio Children's Hospital as an example. So medical's down is another big source of employment down here.
Okay, that's great to know. What is the best time of year to move? I know this is kind of a goofy question because we always say the best time to move is now, but
Yeah, right, exactly.
What in your opinion, what is
Sure.
the best time to move to your area?
Sure. So what I find, where a lot of depends on the family. What I find is if a family is looking to move around school, we get a lot of people looking in the spring. So because the weather here is so nice all year round, we don't really have a lot of downtime in terms of whether people are moving in or out. If we do have one, it's the summertime, and the reason for that, Carrie, is that if the people who are looking to get into the schools, they've already done that. They've already navigated the whole process, and I help my clients do that because there's so many diverse schools here. But by the springtime, they pretty much have figured that out, and so the summer slows down, and then the fall it kicks up again because the weather's so nice here in the winter, and we have a very large polo community here. So I mean, polo on the horses, equestrian community. Wellington is the polo capital of the world, the winter equestrian capital of the world. So we have polo matches between the months of January, February, March, and halfway through April. So in the fall time, people are trying to get into the area for that reason, especially.
Gotcha. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. What is the first step that you feel would be what someone needs to do if they are relocating from another state?
Great question. So if someone's interested in looking at South Florida, My first piece of advice is to first narrow it down to your area. As an example, in Palm Beach County, we have to the north is Jupiter. The middle is, as I mentioned earlier, West Palm Beach, and to the south is Boca Raton, Florida. All three are very different areas. I would first search online, go to YouTube. YouTube is great for videos, and you can visualize, how these places look. If you like a little bit more of an urban look, you probably want more of a Delray Beach, Boca Raton. If you want something a little bit more rural, you probably want to lean more towards Jupiter and Palm Beach Gardens. My first piece of advice would be get a sense as to what area that you'd want to look at, you want to consider. Then, of course, reach out to a realtor that you know, like, and trust to help you navigate and get some advice on the best ways to search for homes once you've come to that decision.
Okay, that's great. Well, thank you so much for all of this valuable information. I greatly appreciate you taking the time to give us your knowledge on the areas that you're serving. I really appreciate your time.
Great. Thank you, Carrie. Listen, I love this. I love doing the videos like this and interviews like this, but I really do like helping people move down here from other parts of the country. And myself, I'm down here 15 years. I moved here from New York, and I've been through the experience, and it's nothing but an honor to help people do exactly the same thing.
Great. Well, thank you so much. And I will definitely put your information in the description box below. So if someone wants to contact you to get the process started to relocate to your area, they can do so in the description box below. Thank you so much again for joining me. I really appreciate your time.
It's my pleasure. Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining Ray and I today. To download a copy of my Relocating to Florida guide, click the link in the description box down below. Thank you again so much for joining me, and I'll see you on the next one.